greatly appreciated. I always enjoy talking to these safety councils, and of late, I just wish there was time where I could see everyone's faces on the screen from time to time. And I'm thinking that if we're going to be doing this for some while, we've got to figure out a way to make that happen easily without disrupting the presentation. But I do miss being out in the field and seeing everyone, but still glad we can connect in our virtual world. The first part, before I start the discussion on emerging technology, I wanted to share an announcement that we've just recently partnered up with the Orrville Chamber and Safety Council members to offer our Ving technology platform with a promotional if you are a chamber member and or Safety Council member. And so we're very excited about that. So just a quick infomercial on what Ving is and what the promo is. So if you're not familiar with Ving technology, we are a safety training and compliance monitoring platform. And what we specialize in is right time, right place, right information to keep your employees safe and injury-free, avoid unnecessary financial impact to the company, and to help you to build and sustain your company culture around safety, quality, and HR compliance. And how we do that is we work with companies all over the country in all different kinds of industries. You can see down the left-hand side here. So if you're one of these industries, and maybe you don't see yours on the list, odds are you can take advantage of this promotional through the chamber. And by the way, if you're a Safety Council member, but not a chamber member, you still can apply to get to the discount. We can talk about that later. But we work with all different kinds of corporations to help them to keep people safe on the job and to avoid financial impact. What we bring to the table is a library of 1,000 courses. You can see the categories down the left-hand side. These are ready-to-use courses for you to pick from to deliver training across your company or to a specific group of people in the company. One thing that makes us unique is that not only can you deliver a full course, but you can also use our microburst settings to define the length and time and segments of the course. So let's say you really don't want to pull people off a job for 30 minutes to do training, but what you could do is deliver 4 or 5 minutes of training every Monday until they finish. So you can just set your frequency and set your length of time, and Ving takes care of the rest. Another thing that makes the technology and the courseware unique is that you can customize it. You can add any of your own company policy and procedure directly into our training. We target removing barriers too. So it's not just about people sitting there and punching keys online, watching a video online. We make sure that people have access to this information in the right place at the right time and remove the barriers to access. So they can get it through email, they can get it through a text, they can even scan a QR code and have it retrieve a short video or a tip sheet on how to be safe or storage of a machine. Any of these kinds of things can be associated there. And then all of this information is aggregated so that you can save time and generate great reports to see who's on top of what training, who's staying compliant across the board. And so what we've done is we've teamed up with the chamber to say, if you notify yourself when you call into our company or send me an email, notify us that you're a chamber member. And what you'll get with your annual licensing is an additional month at no charge. And depending upon the size of your company, if you're a small company, obviously, if you have like 5 people, it might be $100 discount, all the way up to if you have a lot of employees, it could be up to a $2,500 discount. So it's a pretty sizable discount, depending upon where you fit into that continuum, but it's clearly all relative to the budget at hand. So we'd be happy to work with you and get a better understanding if Ving is right for you and your company. And Lori, thanks so much for asking us to partner with the chamber and provide the not only the Ving solution, but the opportunity to take advantage of that discount. Okay, so we are all set here. Today's workshop I've given to a variety of safety councils across the country and at trade shows and events, mostly of late, very virtual. So technology, of course. Being a technology company, I live, breathe, and die every day of the week thinking about technology, and more specifically about how technology can be used to keep people safe on the job. The true motivation behind why we got into the business that we are in is my partner Stephanie and Hunter and I really just saw a disconnect between the people on the front line, the people with the mud on the boots, the people who work the manufacturing line, the people driving product from point A to point B, a disconnect in how much information they had at their fingertips to help keep them safe on the job. Sure, they got to go to safety training, but that was like a once and done, check the box. But how do I keep it top of mind all the time? And we really wanted to help people to go home in the same condition that they showed up at work today. And so as you think about that passion that we have, obviously it definitely ties right into me doing a workshop about safety technology. I've been around technology my entire career and figuring out ways to use technology to solve problems. So I'm a gadget geek at heart. I love anything the day it comes out. I got to go find it and look at it and try it and see how it fits into the world, my personal life and in my business life. So today's workshop is really about just getting you to think about different ideas on how you might think about using technology in your organization, and some things to think about if you decide to use technology in your organization. So sparking some insights, getting some new ideas. We're going to cover a wide range of technology. The only product that I'm affiliated with any of these slides is Ving. And these are just products that I found very interesting on the web. I either saw them in use when I was doing a walkthrough of a manufacturing facility, or someone, they were highlighted in like a national safety magazine. So there's a variety of products that you're going to see. What I want you to hopefully walk away with is keep a pencil and paper handy, or jot down notes on your computer screen. Walk away with some questions that you could be asking yourself and your team about the type of technology you're using today, and is it time for an upgrade? Or places that you don't see technology being used in your company, but you kind of feel like there's probably an innovative solution out there that I could zero in on and we could benefit from, whether it's to help keep people safe on the job or improve the quality and service of what you bring to the table for your customers. So let's just ask a couple of questions here first. This is using technology to connect with my remote audience. If you get your cell phones out and you go to your text messaging screen, and in the phone number field, you just type the number 22333, 22333. You don't have to have a dash or anything, just use that phone number, and then send a text message, TD126, TD126. And after you send that message to that phone number, it'll take maybe 5 seconds. You'll get a reply. It says, you've joined Tony Diacenis' session. When you're done, you can reply, leave. We're not tracking your phone number or anything. We're just tracking your replies so they populate on the screen. So go ahead and get your cell phone out, and the phone number is 22333, and you want to send the text message TD126. So let's see how everybody did. On the first question here, just identify who you are and what your role is within the company. All you have to do is select the letter on the screen and just type it into your text message and hit send. This technology right here is just if you've attended one of the meetings that I've spoke at, whether it was at Orrville or somewhere else, I use it all the time. And I encourage people to investigate it. It's called Poll Everywhere. It's really cheap, and it's a great technology to use during your training programs to get people to answer questions. So you, one, can see if they're paying attention, and or two, you can get, as a speaker, as a trainer, you can get some insights as to who you're talking to and what their point of view is as you're going through the material. So let's go ahead and look at another question. Which of the following, it should say, which of the following are your biggest challenges when trying to deliver training? Is it trainee attention span, topics to train on, finding training material, keeping up with reporting, tracking employee training progress, or pulling people off the job? There's just a variety there. So if you kind of take a look at those options, of course, there's no correct or incorrect answer. It's just what you personally experience. If you want to select more than one, you can just type in the number, the letters like ADE or something like that. Most people find that pulling people off the job for training is a huge challenge. And we do a workshop that focuses in on overcoming these kinds of challenges by modernizing your safety training program. And it addresses a lot of the challenges around pulling people off the job. And it also caters towards keeping their attention span. It's interesting that no one selected A. Typically, when I ask this question, I get a lot of people who reply with A. It's hard to keep people's attention span during training. So kudos to this audience. This is a question that I like to ask to just kind of get a sense of understanding. And when you think about adopting a technology in your company, have you adopted some type of new technology that helps to keep people safe on the job in the past 12 months? And so this could be anything. It's just helping to understand like what your mindset is around technology and safety. And if you're looking for different ways to think outside the box and what you can apply to these different environments. The other reason I'd like to ask this question is because if you haven't looked at safety technology in the past 12 months, you owe it to yourself to go back and start looking again. Number one, let's just use digital TVs, like flat screen, big TVs. When they first came out, they were like, $3,000 for not such a big TV, right? And today you can get a big screen digital TV for like $200. And so we may not have had budget for $3,000 to buy 4 or 5 TVs and put them all around the manufacturing facility. But today, at just $200 a pop, we might be able to put TVs in a variety of different places. And this is a type of technology that can be dynamically updated and used on a frequent basis throughout your organization to help keep people safe and aware, because it's so easy to update. So let's go ahead and talk about some types of safety technology from emerging to established. The first one that I want to talk about is virtual or augmented reality. Research shows that the more senses that we can involve in the training process, the more likely we are to retain and reuse that information. Just think about yourself. This is a very hard medium for a workshop facilitator to engage in with an audience. So what I do is I try to use the audience polling, and now I'm going to show you a couple of videos. So I'm trying to break it up as we go through the process of getting your attention. But if I was able to actually add some virtual reality or augmented reality to it, you might even feel like I was sitting there in the room with you. Or perhaps I could direct you to an augmented reality site and have you actually use this technology right now to make you feel more connected to the content. The more we can immerse you into the environment, the stronger you're going to have, the stronger connection you're going to have with the materials, which is going to cause you to have more retention, which is going to enable better recall at the time you need the information to stay safe on the job. So let's go ahead and take a look at augmented reality. So in the video, we're going to learn a little bit about what that is and how it works and how you might use it.
So why VR for training? Comes down to a fundamental aspect of the technology. It's a connected learning environment. We're actually in the learning experience versus just passively watching. That's the advantage.
In VR, you're immersed in the content. There is a connection that viewers have when they're in an environment, and they're able to look all around. They're able to take in all the senses of sight, hearing, and emotion that comes with being in a low incidence, high risk scenario. And that can be anything from a pediatric trauma patient coming through the doors of a critical care access facility to training for an active shooter situation.
So immersive training technology has many benefits. One of the three that really stick out is increased interest and engagement. People are excited about being in the experience because they're actually in it, which leads to better impact. The impacts their whole learning experience. And what does that actually give us that everybody really wants? Higher retention rates. If we can have our students walk away from the learning experience and understand the content and retain it, it's a win for everybody.
We spend a lot of time talking to our clients to better understand what challenges they're facing in the training industry. And one trend that we're seeing right now is how to connect with adult learners in a more effective manner. We've got the solution. It's virtual reality. You should see these people when they put the headsets on. At first, they may feel a little disoriented. That's a fact. But then they put it back on again. And then they put it back on again. And sometimes it's hard to get the headset away from them. But the truth of the matter is, there's excitement there. Adult learners want something new. They want something fresh. And we're able to provide that.
What makes this technology affordable is the fact that it uses simple app-based distribution, just like you would on any mobile phone. And that it's iOS or Android, and it's all driven by a learning management system that serves up the content and keeps track of everything for the organization.
Virtual reality training is going to be the biggest and most impactful advancement that the training industry has seen, period.
I think there's a couple of things about this particular approach to training and technology used in training that I find very fascinating. The first thing has to do with when they talk about people getting excited about training, people wanting to participate in the training, and then people go back into the field, into the manufacturing facility, onto the construction site. They start talking about how cool the training was. When was the last time anybody talked about your safety training and used the word cool, or said, I can't wait to go back to training, or even talk to other people about the safety training in a very positive, kind of contagious way? Virtual and augmented reality is not only a great technology to use to help to get the learning process going and improve the entire connection people have with the content, but it's also a way to up your game around your company culture, dealing with safety, and change the way people talk about it, participating. The other thing that I really like about using virtual and augmented reality is what research tells us, and it's down here, the last bullet. There was a study that was done. They took two groups and they provided each of these groups the same training, and they both participated in it. But one group literally felt heat from space heaters and smelled smoke emitting into the room through a scent diffuser. And the other group was only given a PowerPoint with audio-visual cues as they were clicking through the PowerPoint. And the research just showed time and time again that the group who experienced, not only with the VR and the AR goggles on, this other senses of the heat and the smell, retained the knowledge exponentially longer than the group who just looked at a PowerPoint slide. So there's research out there that shows us that this is a very effective way to bring people into a new learning environment. And if you're thinking, wow, that might not be for me because of cost, then go look again. In the past year, just like I mentioned before, if you've looked at it once before, it's time to look at it again. If you've never looked at it, it's time to look at it now. The cost on virtual reality and augmented reality technologies for training has dropped significantly. You can actually buy a headset for under $100, like similar to the one that the gentleman has on the screen. You can even get ones that you slide a phone into for 10 or 15 bucks. And then download different virtual environments that people can view and look around and participate in. Oops. The next one that we'll take a look at is augmented reality. So this is taking technology into the field and using it to superimpose over your surroundings. Many people have been aware of, the Pokemon game with Pikachu. People are seeing it now with furniture stores. You can pick a couch out of the catalog and literally shine your camera at your family room, and the couch appears like it's in your family room. You may have seen on the wine bottles, you can actually hold your phone and your camera open, and the bottle, the picture on the bottle starts talking to you. This is all augmented reality, designing to bring you and immerse you into the field.
Safety is a vital part of every workplace, yet safety information can be difficult to navigate and implement on site. Imagine an app that gives you access to critical site information wherever you are. Safety Compass is the answer. With live, up-to-date data at your fingertips, notifications will warn you of surrounding hazards the moment you step onto the job site. The Safety Compass utilises augmented reality technology, allowing you to identify potentially hazardous areas through your smartphone in real time. The Safety Compass uses assisted GPS technology to accurately pinpoint hazardous areas within a multitude of work sites, including construction, mining, and manufacturing. With the tap of a finger, you can expand on any identified hazard, allowing access to all associated safety information. With an easy-to-use interface and interactive mapping technology, everyone can stay up to date every minute of the day. The Safety Compass. Real-time safety in your pocket.
Very simple application, downloadable onto your phone. And then you can go in and you can create, you take videos of your own environments, and then you can create the hotspots where danger or potential injury accident areas are, and or just informational about the area, and easily updated by phase of projects. So just imagine sending somebody out in the manufacturing facility. It's a brand new hire, and they're unfamiliar with something. They can use their phone to scan the area, see if there's any hotspots, and it's going to help them to understand what to do when they go into that particular area, what precautions to take. Another thing that very simple to implement in the way of technology are signs and alerts. And I think we tend to overlook these and not really think of them as technology, but we also tend to overlook how easily they are to implement in relationship to the maximum amount of value that they can get, which is very high. And what I always like to point out with people in this kind of thing is that, you might have signs in your facility, but there's a lot of times where these signs are very static. The information doesn't really change that frequently on them. So think about a picture that you hang in your house. It's a picture that you bought one day and you absolutely loved it, so you prominently hung it in an area that you would see it frequently and enjoy it. Well, a year or two passes and you realize that you've not stopped to look at that picture in a long time. So what do? We move it to a different wall maybe, and all of a sudden we're seeing it every day. It's just kind of like when you buy a new car. You might think, oh, I really want to get a red car. I don't see that many of them out on the road. As soon as you buy a red car, what do? You see red cars everywhere. So looking for a way to bring your signs to life and use digital signs of some sort is really a huge win, because you can change the information up on a regular basis to keep people noticing the key information that you want them to have for on-the-job safety or on-the-job quality. These are some examples of signs that we see around. Of course, they are nice. They're digital. They can display, simple counts like the number of days. But there's really a limited amount of information that I'm able to get. Wouldn't it be interesting if this was a flat screen TV? And not only did it show the number of days worked without lost time or injury, but it also spun around and gave people 3 bullet points that said why that was the case. So what the point is that definitely look towards digital signs that you can use, but also look towards using a digital sign in a way that not only does it present the facts, but it also presents the relevance. Why is this important to my environment? Why should I know this, right? What did people do to say injury-free? Maybe there's an opportunity to do a quick refresher on that same digital sign to keep people focused on doing these 3 things to make sure we stay with the lost time injury. And all they do is glance up and they see it, and it's all of a sudden top of mind all the time. And for the rest of the day, it's kind of something that's seeded into their memory, ready for retrieval. This is a type of digital sign that is used in a warehouse for forklift safety.
It happens all the time. Hurried traffic moves through a facility, crossing paths, creating dangerous situations. Warning signs and mirrors may help, but if just one driver or pedestrian is not paying attention, the consequences can be costly. For traffic detection in these areas, your solution is the Safety Signal Warning System from Right Height. Safety Signal lets drivers and pedestrians know that traffic is approaching from multiple directions. The sensitivity and size of each detection zone is adjustable to each application. Safety Signal actively detects oncoming traffic and immediately presents high visibility LED signals, either yield or stop. For even greater visibility, a bright blue signal lights up the floor. Safety Signal is easy to install. Plug it in and it's ready to go. Configure Safety Signal for any type of intersection: 2-way, 3-way, or 4-way traffic. Here's how it works. If traffic enters the detection zone from one direction, the other directions see an amber yield signal. If traffic is detected from 2 or more directions, a red stop signal is presented to approaching traffic, the remaining directions see yield signals, and the blue light illuminates the floor. If traffic approaches from all directions, all approaching pedestrian or motorized traffic is presented with a red stop signal and blue light on the floor. With the Safety Signal, you'll improve productivity while protecting your equipment, products, profit, and most importantly, your people. The Safety Signal Warning System, only from Right Height.
So what I really like about that particular technology is that it does something. So there's a cause and an effect kind of a thing. So as soon as it's dark, and then all of a sudden, as soon as a forklift approaches, something lights up, and there's stages of signaling. So it's almost like, back to the digital sign. If it's just a poster on the wall, or it's something that's not moving, how much is it really going to catch our eye and cause pause? So whenever you're looking for some type of digital sign, be thinking, how is this digital sign going to interact with the environment? How is it going to interact with the employees? And to keep their attention so that it doesn't just become something that's in the fabric of the room and I don't even notice it anymore. Wearables. This is a very interesting topic because wearables are just skyrocketing in application and in use cases. We all heard the Fitbit and counting steps and the Apple Watch, and There's just so many different types of wearables out there now. The use cases for safety are just popping up all over the place all the time. And part of the reason is, one, the technology's advancing. It's way further advanced than just 6-12 months ago. It means it can do more. My watch actually monitors my my pulse. I'm a runner and I ride my bike, and that's very important to me. I'm also a little bit older, so I want to know if my heart rate gets out of range, and my watch will actually tap me on the wrist and let me know that for the type of activity that you're doing, your heart rate is a little bit higher than it normally is. And so I can look down and I can start running a little slower. Maybe I was running up a hill and I didn't realize how fast I was running. And I can bring my heart rate down to the zone that I want to be in. If I fall, my watch is set that if I fall like if I just fall like casually, it's not going to notify anybody. But if I fall at a rate that's, we'll just call it alarming, it's automatically going to call 911 or alert somebody to let them know that I've fallen. So think about people working by themselves in remote areas or night shifts where things could potentially go wrong. Even with GPS trackers, it's a great way to identify where workers are and understand if they're in, if you haven't heard nor seen from them, maybe they've fallen and they've gotten knocked out. The watch is still working, the cell phone is still working. We can use the GPS to locate them. So as these technologies become more prevalent, we're starting to see more and more of them in the workplace. And we're starting to see employers start to use things like smartwatches to do everything from data tracking, locations, to setting alarms for geolocation, to things like I just mentioned around detecting falls. And the price point for these has come way down as well. If the employee doesn't wear one already, then it's potential that, a lot of times I always like to say too, is that, sometimes we're sitting there and say, well, I can never buy 300 of smartwatches for all 300 of our employees. I say start small. Identify the 5 people or the 3 people that are at risk because of the environment that they work in, and think about getting them a smartwatch and protecting that individual. And then over time, if there's reason or application, you think about getting these types of devices for other people in your company. But starting small with a problem area and an area of higher risk is the way to go. Another type of wearable doesn't have, I'm just talking a lot about the watch and your phone and all this kind of stuff that people might wear. There's even a company out there now that has belts, and the belt is monitoring how many times you bend over. So people are using them in Amazon warehouses. They're using them in manufacturing lines. They're using them in packing areas, anywhere that people are lifting on a regular basis, and it's monitoring their lifting patterns so that we can identify if somebody's at risk of lower back injury. So those are all technology things. But there are some simple wearables out there, just like a light up vest. I have 2 vests, of course. I have one that doesn't light up, and I have one that has a little USB cord in it that I can charge. It's actually a full approved OSHA vest for construction. And it has lights that go all around it. And I wear it when I ride my bike. And if it's starting to get a little dark, I just flick the switch and it lights up and see me from way down the road. But it's just such an advantage for people to have this type of visibility when they're working out in the field. This is another type of technology that is a wearable. It's not a vest, but it is very interesting. Recently, being out in a residential area, there was a storm, and I got up to see what was going on with the storm. And I looked out the window, and down the street, there was a group of people wearing these, and it turned out to be somebody from First Energy, Ohio Edison, and they were fixing power lines.
We're always around heavy traffic and heavy equipment, so not being seen is pretty dangerous.
There's a lot of stuff up here that can get a guy hurt. 90% of our work is to set it up to do it safely so everybody can go home.
We got traffic going by out here, you know, we need to be visible to the traffic and to other people.
It's like being in a lit room.
It's been like a guardian angel, man.
The thing that I thought was really cool about those when I looked out the window was it looked like a bunch of Martians had landed in our neighborhood and were walking around the street. And it just kind of was like, wow, this is kind of ominous. But the reality of it is that not only did it make them more visible, but it also made them more productive because the light was always in their area where they needed to be able to see to perform the job at hand. One of the last technologies that we're going to focus in on here is kind of a cool one. It's called exoskeletons. And exoskeletons are something that are becoming more commonplace in different environments where people have to sustain certain positions for a long period of time to get their job done, and or to perform a task that potentially could be causing extra stress on arms and legs and their back and things like that. But this is a very interesting thing that I always thought was pretty fascinating.
This is the ExoWorks industrial exoskeleton. And the point of it is to let somebody who looks like me take something that looks like this, which is a Milwaukee grinder, and hold it over their head for a long time as though it didn't weigh anything. Exobionics grew out of a defense-funded project to make a load-carrying suit for military applications. But the company's best known for a spin-off, a powered therapeutic exoskeleton that people who are paralyzed or who've suffered strokes can use. Now the company's going back to its roots in a way, with an exoskeleton built to make difficult human jobs a lot easier. Exo isn't the only company getting into exosuits, but they are one of the first to build one aimed more at construction workers and special forces
Put a large metal bit in the front.
Sure.
And then work it, actually.
And now we see
more than 5 minutes.
Now we see why I went into journalism.
That's right. That's
crazy. I got to try out the suit at Exo's Richmond, California factory. It's adjustable for people from 5'4" to 6'4". It weighs about 16 pounds. And it feels a bit odd at first. If you could not twerk in this, just wouldn't. I couldn't twerk without it. I wouldn't recommend it, let's say. The Exo industrial suit's made for heavy industry and construction. It's less Tony Stark's Iron Man armor and more the power loader from Aliens.
Back then, they had the idea of exoskeletons for industrial applications, and the interesting thing about that is Aliens was scheduled in the year 2020, so in our minds, we got 5 years to get to that.
But the exosuit is still pretty far from Ripley's Alien Slayer. This thing is actually completely analog.
But our industrial exoskeletons, our first round of products, are actually passive. So there's no electronics, there's no batteries, so there's nothing to be plugged in, which makes it pretty exciting.
But then how do they fly and shoot laser beams from the columns?
There's no laser beams. We don't have the arc reactor yet, like Tony Stark. No. So what are
Seems like a missed opportunity. I just have to say.
Yeah. Well, we keep asking for it, but no one's developed it yet.
Totally different. Up is now completely easy. Like I would stay like that for hours. Now. I could even heft a 40-pound grinder like a sword.
And the whole premise is that we provide a parallel load path. So we have the tool, there's a gravity balancing arm that mounts to the chassis, and that chassis has a load path that goes all the way to the ground. So the user inside doesn't feel any of the weight. The payload goes down through the structure to the ground, and they're just there to maneuver and move the tool around.
But there might be competition soon. Salt Lake City's Sarcos is developing a powered full-body suit. But what I want to know is, will it have a fencing function? I could fence for hours.
The exoskeleton, very interesting piece of equipment. We're seeing it show up a lot in the drywall industry where people are hanging drywall hours after hours. Worldwide, more people now own a cell phone than they do a toothbrush. This is insane to think about, but it is true. 81% of Americans own a smartphone. I actually think my statistic's a little bit dated right now, and I should go back to it. I think I just read something. It's over 90% now. It's insane. But the reality of it is that it just means that so many of the people that work for us and that are in the field have access to a smart device, a web-enabled device that, if used properly for work, could help them to stay out of harm's way and have a safer day. So real quick, for the folks that are on the line, do you have a web-enabled device? And so typically the answer comes out to this is 100% of the people answer yes. I have think that in every safety council meeting that I've done across the country, it's unanimously the yes. Then when we get into these two questions, it's kind of an interesting one. Are you allowed to use it at work? And so this one is where we start to vary a little bit, right? But still, 80% in this case is about right. 80% of the people are allowed to use their phones at work. So the last question is, do you use it for work? So using it at work is one thing, but do you use it for work is the other thing. And a lot of people, I've been doing this workshop now for quite some time, and I've seen this number increase over time. So many people are using their phone for work. So why not explore safety apps to put on the phone and help to create that safer, higher quality, HR compliant environment? There's just behavioral safety apps, there's near miss apps, there's microburst safety apps. There's literally all different types of things, and they're not that expensive to get downloaded and put on your system. Sometimes the fees start to carry up depending upon your use case for them. But with so many people having cell devices, it almost makes it a no-brainer to explore from time to time, how might you leverage the use of employee-owned sales phones, web-enabled devices? This is skyrocketed in obviously since March when the pandemic was announced, COVID-19 tracer apps, and it's using GPS to track who was near who. And when you have an employee report back that they've contracted COVID and they're quarantined, they can go look at a report, and by the GPS location, they can see all the other 10, 15 employees that worked very closely with this individual who now has COVID, and they can decide proactively how to quarantine those other people if needed. In the Ving platform, we use QR codes, and this is a big deal with our customer base. They can generate a QR code for literally any training topic, any quick safety tip, any checklist for storing a machine, using a machine, cleaning a machine, and stick it. And then the employee just scans it, and it retrieves maybe a 2-minute video on the proper way to clean the machine after you've done it. Maybe it's that one on the left. Or if you're gonna use a electrical box, maybe you scan it and it gives you the top 5 things that are gonna happen when you open that case or turn it off. Or if you're lifting something and you want people to have a quick 90-second video on how to avoid lower back injury. These are all ways that you can use a cell phone in your location to help keep people out of harm's way. And as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with some things to think about. So if you're going to be implementing any type of new technology and your organization, first, start thinking about what are we going to do if something goes wrong? So some of these technologies, they require, power. They require people to know how to use them. They require people to know where to find them, to use them, all those kinds of things. So you need to have a plan. If something goes wrong and I can't find the technology right now and use it, what's my backup plan? Of course, you're going to go to plan B, which is probably what you used to do before. But anymore, with the way technology works, it's pretty much going to work all the time, knock on wood. Establish a time and place. So for example, if people are using their phone, but they also drive a truck, we want to make sure they know It is against company policy for you to use your phone while you're driving. That's as simple, or you man a particular machine on the shop floor. There's a time and place for the type of technology that you're implementing in your company, and you want to think through that policy or those steps and make sure you educate people. Technology needs a home. So when somebody's done with it, what do they do with it? There's two reasons that you want to really, that come to mind almost immediately. One is because when the next person comes to use it, they need to be able to find it, and it needs to be operational. So if it needs to be stuck into a recharger and get the battery ready to go for the next shift, it needs to be at the home base getting charged. The second thing is you want to prove to your leadership who gave you the money to invest in this that it's going to be properly taken care of. And you've even thought about the storage of the technology and the maintenance and the cleaning of it to make sure that their investment has a long shelf life. Don't be afraid of change. Think outside the box and start small. If you're not sure if a technology is right for you, you don't have to go great guns and invest $20,000 overnight in it, but think about how might I use this in a particular area to see how people react to it, and if it's going to fit and work for us, and then expand from there. But don't be afraid of change in that particular area, because you might be missing out on a very simple investment to get valuable gains. And then make sure you have an employee feedback loop. So whatever technology you're using, maybe it's those digital signs. And what you want to do is have the digital sign up there. And every 2 weeks, you want to ask a group of people if they saw the digital sign, did they get value out of the information that was up there? If there was any challenges in reading what was up there, get their feedback, get their input. Don't just hang the sign and program the TV to display the information and say, oh, well, it's their problem if they don't look at it or read it. It's our job. We convinced someone to make the investment in the technology. Now we need to fine tune it. And the way we fine tune it and the use cases of it is we get people's feedback. Make sure we include upper management in this cycle. We want them to know of everything we're doing with it and the progress that we're making. We want to demonstrate the value in the investment and the results that have come out. And we want to make sure that all of that is communicated in way of solving problems in our problem areas, so that we're not just using technology for the sake of using technology. We're using it because we had a valid reason to get started with it, and we've tackled a problem and made it go away. So those are 7 key things to think about. Of course, Lori will have this presentation available for emailing out to all of you, and you can share it with anybody and use it as a discussion starter with your team. There'll also be a link in here to an ebook, which is very easy to read and has all kinds of different tips for you to think about when you're evaluating technology for your particular organization. And there we go. You can reach out to me anytime with questions, and or if you're interested in taking advantage of the new promotional offer through the Chamber. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony, for that great information. I know I'm inspired. Have lots of notes on my page. We will share out the PowerPoint from today, and also information about that promotion that he mentioned. So if you are with the Orrville Area Safety Council, the Orrville Area Chamber, or if you are with the Holmes County Safety Council, because I know that a number of you are participating in these calls, all of you are eligible to receive that promotion of that free month if you are interested in signing up with Bing. So just take a look at that information, and if it works for your company, great. We're glad to be able to help provide a little relief for you, a little bit of savings there. So again, we will meet again on December 9th for our next Safety Council webinar, and I look forward to seeing you then. So stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.